July 25, 2020. The dense humidity of Tepalcatepec, Mexico, was pierced by a strange, high-pitched mechanical hum, echoing above the tree line. It sounded like a swarm of aggressive hornets, but when locals looked up, they saw small, gray quadcopters hovering perfectly in formation. Before anyone could figure out who was flying them, the sky rained down a devastating payload, permanently altering the landscape of modern tactical operations. But this is where the rules of engagement completely flip upside down. You see, the power to execute coordinated airstrikes used to be reserved exclusively for massive governments, with trillion-dollar defense budgets and top-secret satellite networks. So today, that same aerial dominance has been successfully democratized by syndicate cartels, using the exact same plastic gadgets your cousin uses to film his beach vacation. We are looking at a terrifying new era of asymmetric conflict, where street-level factions have somehow acquired the air capabilities of a sovereign nation, and local law enforcement is entirely unequipped to look up and fight back. It is almost like watching a neighborhood watch group trying to stop a highly sophisticated cyber intrusion by unplugging a router. And the craziest part is just how fast this improvised air force was built. Back in the early days of the 2000s and 10s, these organizations treated commercial, off-the-shelf drones as nothing more than flying security cameras. They used them to monitor borders, track patrol movements, and occasionally ferry small packages over walls. But these syndicates are incredibly adaptive businesses. They soon realized that if a drone can carry 2 pounds of contraband, it could carry 2 pounds of something much more volatile. The massive shift occurred around the summer of 2020. The Jalisco New Generation Syndicate, operating in the Western Mountains, decided to upgrade their arsenal. They did not buy military hardware on the black market. Instead, they ordered basic $1,000 quadcopters online. The engineering process was horrifyingly simple, but highly effective. Operatives took standard plastic food storage containers, the kind you use for leftover pasta, and packed them tightly with C4 explosives and metal ball bearings. They duct-taped these homemade devices directly to the drone chassis and rigged a makeshift electronic release switch to the camera controls. When the local community defense forces in Tepalcatepec found an abandoned armored vehicle later that July, they discovered these modified devices sitting in the back, alongside a remote controller. "Look at the camera mount. They bypassed the sensor completely," one of the militia members pointed out, carefully examining the plastic container. "If they figure out how to release these without crashing the whole unit, we have no cover left," the team leader replied, stepping away from the rigged quadcopter. And that was exactly the problem. The syndicates did figure it out. By the following year, the skies over the Michoacan region were buzzing constantly. They stopped using these drones as mere novelties and integrated them into full tactical operations. During intense engagements, operatives would fly these modified units over heavily armored police convoys, dropping payloads directly onto vehicle rooftops where the armor was weakest. Local law enforcement agencies were utterly paralyzed. Traditional radar systems are designed to detect massive metal aircraft flying at high altitudes, not small plastic toys skimming just above the power lines. "We cannot engage them with standard rifles. They are too small and too fast," a frustrated regional commander reported during a specialized briefing. "By the time we hear the rotors, the payload is already falling. We are completely exposed from above." But just when authorities thought they understood the limits of this makeshift air force, the operators introduced a terrifying twist. They were no longer just dropping gravity-based payloads and flying back. They were turning the drones themselves into precision-guided, first-person view projectiles, fully networked to strike simultaneously. Between 2021 and 2025, researchers documented over 220 major aerial incidents across the region. And these were not isolated random strikes. The organizations had officially established a brand new rank within their vertical hierarchy, specifically dedicated to this technology. They called them droneros, specialized operators whose sole job was to modify, maintain, and pilot these aerial fleets. During a highly coordinated operation in early 2024, a rival faction deployed over 20 separate aerial units within a 72-hour window. The Droneros set up mobile command centers in the backs of pickup trucks, looking at multiple monitor screens, like an underground esports tournament. Bring Unit 4 around the western ridge. Keep it under the tree canopy until you see the compound, a syndicate operator instructed through a headset, his eyes glued to a high-definition feed. I have visual on the target perimeter. Engaging the release mechanism now, the pilot responded, tapping a single button on a modified gaming controller. The resulting devastation forced entire towns to evacuate into the mountains overnight. Thousands of civilians abandoned their homes, fleeing a persistent aerial threat they could neither see nor defend against. State prosecutors found their highly protected compounds breached by devices that bypassed multi-million-dollar perimeter fences by simply floating right over them. The threat quickly spilled beyond regional conflicts. By early 2026, defense officials tracking border movements noticed an alarming escalation. The cartels were running hundreds of drone flights every single month, mapping blind spots and testing response times. They are not just watching us anymore. They are testing the frequency jammers, a border intelligence analyst noted during an emergency congressional testimony. If they decide to attach a payload to even 10% of these daily flights, our ground units have zero adequate countermeasures. The rapid democratization of aerial dominance means the old rules of engagement are officially obsolete. High-tech defense budgets are currently being outmaneuvered by off-the-shelf hobby gear and rolls of duct tape. There is no central supply line to cut off, no military runway to crater, and no massive factory to shut down. As long as commercial delivery companies keep innovating longer battery lives and stronger motors for civilian use, these street-level factions will continue to weaponize them in their own backyards. The terrifying reality is that the skies no longer belong exclusively to the superpowers, and the next major threat will not arrive on a radar screen. It will arrive in a cardboard box with free 2-day shipping. Thanks for watching this video. For similar stories, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.